Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Gonna give it about 30 more seconds as people keep trickling in here. All right, let's get started. Okay, so yeah, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. I am really excited to share a lot of new and exciting things that we've released with Tilia Phoenix 8.0. The intent of this webinar is to highlight some of the new features, give you a bit of an update on what we're doing, share a bit of news, talk a little bit about Tilia Phoenix, of course, and then some of the additional components that we've been working on and excited to release. So yeah, I'm going to try and get through as much as I can. I tried to focus and extract the pieces of our 8.0 release that are most important for folding carton converters. Yeah, just share a bit of news on what's going on here at Tilia Labs. So my name is Tyler Thompson. I'm the solutions director here at Tilia Labs. Been in the industry since graduating from Clemson University, where I studied printing and packaging. Went and worked for Esco Graphics for about 6 years, and then been here at Tilia Labs since 2018. And then, yeah, throughout the What's New webinar today, I will unfortunately not be able to answer any questions because I have a lot of content to cover in the next 28 minutes. But if you have any questions or want to dig in a bit more, feel free to reach out to us, info@tilialabs.com. You can reach out to me directly at tyler@tilialabs.com. You can always visit our website, tilialabs.com, and just fill out our form and we'll get back to you right away. So what are we going to cover today? There's a bit of news on our branding, docs, and just a bit of news in general, industry news that we're going to share with you today. We've released an extended handful of new modules that are in our price book. And then we will end it with a bunch of the new features. So I'm not, unfortunately, going to be able to get through every new feature. However, I tried to pull out ones that are interesting for folding carton, and then yeah, we'll give a bit of a couple demos to just get you thinking and show you around Tilia Phoenix 8.0. So our branding and docs, we refreshed our branding. We've updated our online documentation and also our downloads portal. So our branding has changed a bit. We now refer to all of our products with first our company name Tilia, and then yeah, Phoenix, for example. So you'll hear us referencing Tilia Phoenix, Tilia Griffin, Tilia Cloud. And our marketing team wanted us to share that with you. So we also have a new splash screen, updated logo, and then really excited about our docs. We've been continuing to add more and more useful information to our docs. We've now got a handful of quick start guides that we're going to continue to add to, and we're trying to segment them by market segment. So you'll see quick start guide specifically for folding carton and some example files, example configurations. This just helps get you started quicker, especially if you have like a new person, new user. Also, our search has been redeveloped on our docs page, trying to make it just easier for you to find information that you need. So when you search, that's all nice and interactive. And then we've also added quick start guides for our API documentation with API calls and examples on how to basically do a hello world using our API. And then we've also exposed all of our API calls. So our Swagger docs are online, our open API documentation is all online. You can see our calls, our models, and get examples of the requests. Cool. So yeah, just to recap, quick start guides. Take a look at those. Again, if you have new users trying to figure out how to use Tilia Phoenix, maybe for a different segment than what you're using Tilia Phoenix for today, check out our quick start guides. Again, we always add to this documentation. So yeah, it's always up to date. Online API documentation and quick start guides. So hello worlds on how to use plan, how to use impose. So yeah, if you're interested in automating Phoenix and want to learn more about what's possible, go take a peek at it. And then the search bar, all now searching our quick start guides, also searching our just product documentation in general, as well as our API documentation. So super helpful, really nice and fast to hopefully get your answer or your questions answered quicker. And then you'll also notice if you go to support.tilialabs.com, if you have been to our support portal, that's where you can interact with our help desk, but also more importantly, you'll see this new My Downloads button, and that is where all of our downloads that you have permissions to access, that you have license for, will show up. So the most recent version of Tilia Phoenix, Mac PC, and then all of the previous versions are also available centrally. And then a bit of exciting news. So we partnered with RIT. RIT is the Rochester Institute of Technology here in the US. RIT has a fantastic graphics, media, science, and technology program where they help train our and educate our youth. So college students have curriculums that are geared around printing and packaging in upstate New York. So what we've done is partnered with RIT and their faculty and staff to one, donate licenses to the program, as well as craft an imposition and planning lab and assignment that where the students will actually use and learn Tilia Phoenix, understand planning and impositioning and costs, and really leverage the software and learn the software to complete their assignments, complete their labs. So yeah, benefit here, of course, is we're doing our part, helping continuing to educate the youth of our industry. And for everyone on the call, of course, now you have access to students that are about to graduate or have graduated that have knowledge of impositioning, planning, costs, and more importantly, how to use our software. So if you need to get in touch with any of these graduates, recent graduates, or you're looking for anyone, don't hesitate, reach out to us and we can connect you with the RIT staff. So, okay, let's dig into Tilia Phoenix. 4 new modules that we've released. Corrugator module, may be important or interesting for some, probably not for many on the call, but I'll explain it anyways. We've also extended our Braille module, we've extended our scripting module, and our metrics migration module now supports cartons and dies. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So new Corrugator module. This is for digital top sheet printing. This is our partnership with HP and their page-wide division. So we are now leveraging Tilia Phoenix to gang those orders together across the web for top sheet digital printing. If you have questions about this, feel free to reach out. We're not going to dig into that at all today. Just wanted to mention it. We've extended our Braille module. Our Braille module now supports UK, so O is US English, but now UK English, French, German, grade 1 and 2, and Spanish. This was really interesting for our industrial signage customers, as well as a fair bit of our folding carton customers who are doing or needing ADA compliant Braille. So with Tilia Phoenix, if you have this module, you will now be able to create static Braille as well as dynamic Braille using our keywords. And then those keywords, of course, translate into the ADA compliant Braille, whether it's US, UK, French, German, or Spanish. And then a really exciting new module that we've extended to be even smarter, more intelligent, is our scriptable marks. So with our scripting module, you'll now have this, with the new scripting module, be able to activate the scripting mark, and the scripting mark allows you to write custom JavaScript inside of your mark. This was a feature that was requested by a ton of our customers who will come back to us when they buy new equipment or they have some new inline Spectro or inline cameras or whatever it is, where they need some kind of custom mark, some kind of custom logic for their mark. So instead of building all these marks ourselves, we said, you know what, screw it. We're just going to allow our customers to build their own marks. Super powerful. We've basically exposed the entire PDF library where you can do things like use your create brushes, use a painter tool, create text, change the size of your text, paint with different colors. Anything that you can do really in a vector drawing engine, you could do in our scriptable marks. So to give you an idea and to get you kind of thinking about the power of this thing, this is one example from a customer where we, this particular customer's got, you can see 142 different SKUs here that look relatively similar. They're going to be, of course, they're using Phoenix to gang these up on a die to reduce cost. But more importantly, what they were doing prior to the scripting module is they were needing a way to identify in finishing that these SKUs are actually different. You can see a lot of them look somewhat similar. It could be easy to mistake or pack these in the wrong box. So before they were going and drawing just marks manually with rectangles and changing the colors of them and the size. Now they're using our scriptable marks and adding logic where Phoenix is iterating through each SKU on the sheet, doing a count, resizing, and invariably changing the colors to ensure that they're going to be different in both the number of rectangles as well as the colors of the rectangles and the thickness of the rectangles. So now you can see when we pull that on, Phoenix does this in one fell swoop, where before the customer was doing this, 142 times. They were saving a ton of money, of course, by comboing these, but this, of course, sped their processing up tenfold. So there's a ton of use cases for the JavaScript marks, but just to give you an idea of what's possible. Okay, and the metrics migration module is, we've had a ton of customers come off of metrics and into Tilia Phoenix. And of course, to make that process more smoothly, we import the native MXML files. So if you have a bunch of these, if you're a previous metrics user, this may be interesting for you, but just know that we now also support the ability for Tilia Phoenix to leverage the true shape alongside the MXML files. All right, okay, new features. So there's a ton of new features. We're not, unfortunately, going to be able to get through all of them, but I'm going to walk through the ones that I think are going to be most interesting for folding carton converters. So a couple interesting things. We've extended our devices. I'm going to give a fairly extensive demo on what I mean by extending devices, because it is going to be hopefully extremely valuable and useful to anyone who's doing planning for folding carton work. So we'll talk about that, and I'll show an example of why that's important or why that's helpful. And then, we've also now have full support for digital role-based lane planning, a patented drag and drop interface to speed up your processing and just interaction with Phoenix. And another big feature request was custom CSV reporting. So I'll talk a bit about that. Being able to create and define custom properties, extension of our imposition AI engine rules, and another really nice and requested feature was our ink coverage calculation and being able to view ink separations. So let's take a look at a handful of these different new features here. So manage imposition AI profiles. So in Tilia Phoenix, if you have our plan tool, you may have a very long list of profiles that gets quite annoying and large. So we made it easier to manage those things. So if you go to your preferences in Phoenix, you're going to see this new preference option here called Imposition AI. You click on that, and now you're going to see your entire list here in table view. And you can go and shift select multiple profiles and delete them. You can also edit them and build them right from here. So yeah, just a nice, more efficient way of managing your Imposition AI profiles. And then along with customizing your interface here, now you can see this drag and drop interface here where we allow you to customize and speed up actions that you're commonly doing. So, and this is all contextual based on the file that you're pulling in. So you can see when I pull in a CAD file, a CF2 file, I've got different options than when I bring in a PDF. So what we're seeing right here is I drag in a CF2 file. I can specify what happens. I want to import that as a template to be used. So I just drop that on as a template. I pull my PDF file in, and I can say run auto match automatically. So when I do this, before this was taken, maybe 5 to 7 clicks before. Now you have the ability to customize these actions yourself in the preferences to speed up those common functions that you're doing inside of Tilia Phoenix. So in your preferences, you're going to have this drag and drop setting here. In drag and drop, you can customize those settings that are going to pop up contextually based on all of the different settings that we have. So if you are pulling in a spreadsheet, you can define what happens when you pull in both a spreadsheet and an artwork, or a CAD and an artwork on that drag and drop event. So this is, again, patented technology that we've had actually for about 2 years, but finally got the patent secured, and now we're excited to release it. So again, just trying to speed up the number of clicks in your processing when using Tilia Phoenix every day. And then same with CSV. So when you drag and drop a CSV, again, you can set the custom overlay actions that are going to occur. And then, as always, with our custom CSV importer, you can come and map in your columns from your CSV file to pull those directly into Tilia Phoenix. And then we've extended properties. So we introduced custom properties in version 7. Now we've extended custom properties and are using these custom properties everywhere. So one example here is for our Fotoba mark, to just give you an idea. So we've got a custom JavaScript mark that we built. And when I select on this JavaScript mark, you can see over on the right-hand side, we've got properties. And I've created a new property called mark distance. So this is a really nice way for us to be able to use this as a variable. For example, if you're building this mark for your users to use, and you want to give them custom dialogues to make it easy for them to type in a variable, in my case, a distance here, I'm going to use that distance as an offset in my script. And then that is going to allow me to have just one little setting here that I type in to change my Fotoba mark settings. So I drag it in. You could see I added some just rectangles for my Fotoba mark around the artwork here. Now I'm going to go change that to 20, and I just drag this mark right back on. And then now it changed the offset to 20, right? So you can have an infinite number of these custom properties. I do it again. I just say, hey, I want it to be 100. Just again, making Tilia Phoenix more enjoyable to use, more customizable to use for whatever it is that you're doing. So custom properties. Along with custom properties, we now are pulling those custom properties, or allowing you to pull those custom properties into your planning profiles. So this is really helpful for scenarios like this, where we have a custom gutter rule that we want to add based on a custom property that we're pulling in from our CSV file. So in this case, order ID. I'm saying what I want you, Phoenix, to add this gutter of 1/2 inch when my order ID properties differ on my layout. So without, on the left-hand side here, without that gutter rule, Phoenix will take these 13 products, right, and gang them up on a sheet. When I add that custom gutter rule, what Phoenix is going to do is say, okay, grab items that have that same order ID, group them together, and then add a gutter to visually differentiate when my orders are differing, right? So in this case, you can see purple and yellow are part of the same order. And then this green and orange here are part of a different order. And Phoenix is now intelligently adding these separation gutters that you can customize to help group things together on a sheet. So if we take a look at what this looks like, just as an example here, I pulled in products, 20 different labels here on a sheet. And well, the first thing I do is I impose these single item per sheet. Then I'm going to add a rule to gang these together. So Phoenix, of course, will gang all of these orders together on a sheet, do what it's good at doing. So it gangs these orders together, of course, mixing these items to really just optimize the material consumption and the cost on press. Now, if I want to take that and add a rule, I can say, okay, I still want you to gang those items together, but I want you to keep things in strips based on the same product. So I go into my profile, I add that rule, and now Phoenix will take those orders, gang them all together, but make sure that we're keeping the same product or the same order in the strip. So this just helps, potentially in finishing, right? Maybe we consume a little bit more sheet, but we're going to save a ton more time in finishing and packing. Then I do one more scenario here where I want to group things together by job ID. So I take that custom property that we pulled in, I add that as a plan rule. And now Phoenix is taking these 20 items and making sure, you see when I select on these products over here on the right-hand side, my job ID is changing. So I've got items that are part of the same job now. Only items that are of the same job are being imposed on a sheet together. So again, just trying to make it Tilia Phoenix more intelligent by leveraging these custom properties for doing things like mixing and anti-mixing using plan rules, as well as the ability to add an infinite number of rules here based on those your logic or custom properties. Okay, then exporting CSV files. So once you've got everything grouped together, of course, you want to export this data and potentially suck this back into your business system. So, when we now export, you're going to see this new report. So export report, you're going to see a new option here called CSV. When you click on CSV, we have not only added CSV export, but allow you to customize and completely build from scratch your CSV export. So you can create your own custom columns and then attach those columns to custom keywords to pull like any piece of data, of course, the product name, maybe the overrun percentage, the layout number that it's on, the overrun, etc. So all of this is completely customizable with our CSV exporter. Another really common ask was color separations for QC purposes. So now in Tilia Phoenix, whether you're in the layout view or in the item view, you have the ability to turn on and off separations. So with that pixel by pixel rendering, we also have the ability to auto compute the ink coverage. So for each product now, you have the ability to set this as a default. By default, Phoenix is doing a fast rendering, so you see there is no coverage percentage. However, if I change that color analysis from fast to raster here, and I go back into the color breakdown of the product, you can see we're auto computing now the coverage of each color separation that's presented in the graphic file. So why is that important? Well, we've extended our device library. So in your presses, you're going to now see this operation tab. And in this operation tab, you have the ability to also model the cost of your ink. Of course, you don't have to use this. You can put zeros for everything. But we have two different ink cost calculators. We have a click-based cost and a coverage-based cost. The coverage-based cost, of course, is going to be dependent on the coverage calculation from the products themselves. So that allows you to attach and start to estimate and truly understand, where does it make sense? What items should be ganged together to try and reduce, the number of clicks, for example, to make Phoenix more intelligent about the decisions it's making for ganging. And another common feature is showing and hiding artwork for QC purposes. So we've attached this to a keyboard shortcut, Command 4 or I think Control 4 on a PC. But you can turn on and off your artwork as well as your marks. So a really nice feature. Okay, and then let's take a deep dive into planning with multiple devices. We don't have a couple minutes here, but I want to make sure that we talk about this because this is a key new feature and something that we're going to continue on our roadmap, modeling and understanding your production environment to help you make decisions on what is the best route to take a batch of items, group them together and run them through production to end up with a finished widget. So you can see in this scenario here, I've got a CSV file. Some of these items are going to be printed. Some of them are just going to be cut. I've got the artwork file defined. Some of these are running on different material. But I'm going to pull those into Phoenix, and I've set up a couple different scenarios here. So we've got some items that are going to be die cut because they have a shape. You can see the die type is irregular based on the way Phoenix is looking at this file versus some of our square cut work. You can see this is a square cut here. It's a square shape. And Tilia Phoenix knows that the die type is what we call rectangular, thus allowing us to potentially finish this particular product on a guillotine cutter or a die cutter. So with our extension of our devices, our things library, we have the ability now to really model a production environment. So in this case, we've got a large die creation. So we're modeling the cost of creating a die. So your steel rule die, both with the cost of the die board as well as the cost per linear centimeter or inch of steel rule. So you can model that cost for the die making. You can also model your die cutting cost. So what's it take to set up your die cutter? How long does it take? As well as your guillotine cutter. How long does it take to turn the sheet? What's the max stack height of your guillotine cutter? And then once you've modeled those things, what Tilia Phoenix is going to do is allow you to bring those products in, grab a handful of devices that you want to test on. And now Phoenix is not only figuring out what's the best press and sheet size to run it on, but also what's the best combination of press, sheet size, and finishing route to finish this work on. So the result of this, in this particular scenario, is going to be 3 different layouts, 3 different sheets. And you can see these sheets are all traveling down different routes. So layout number 1 is going on in your small die creation and on your BOP small die cutter. It's a cut only job, so there is no print. Same with layout number 2. It's just a bunch of square cut work, so and no print. So this is just going on your guillotine cutter. And then layout number 3 is going on your Inca. So 3 and 4 are both going on Incas. It makes more sense to run this on your S40, this one on your X3. And going to small die cutters. And then the last layout is just going to be, again, a guillotine cut only. So these routes are now, Phoenix is not only thinking about what's the best way to print and combo these things, but what's the best way to combo these things to maximize our full production line in routes based on whether things are being printed or cut only. Yeah, really get smarter about how we're ganging these things together. So you can see when I break down the layout, I can see my guillotine cutter. It's going to be on press for 5 minutes. Total number of sheets, total number of sheet turns, total number of cuts, total stacks based on the number of sheets, right? And then a more intricate scenario here where we're going on print and cut. We're going on the Inca. We're also creating a die. So Phoenix is costing because we don't have a die that matches these shapes. We're going to create one, and we've modeled that cost there. We're also going to print and cut this. So we're going to be on press and on cutters for 2 hours, 50 minutes, whatever the time is there. And we get a breakdown of the cost. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap it up here with the last thing. So rotary dies as well. We have a lane-based planning algorithm that will not only, of course, we've always optimized a sheet, but we also now understand roles and persisting items in lanes for rotary dies. So I'm going to just skip over here. There we go. So I'm taking these 30, these are just beer labels in this case, but taking these 30 items that are running on a web, and you can see changing or persisting those orders up a web, transitioning from one order to a next, right? To really optimize material, reduce time in slitting and rewinding for any of your web-based work. Oops. So, okay. There's a ton of other features. You can see all of our new features documented on our docs.tilialabs.com. Check out our release notes. And if you have any further questions, don't be shy. Reach out to us online or email me at tyler@tilialabs.com. Thank you so much for your time. And we hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.